After hundreds and hundreds of years of Smeagol being dependent on and oppressed by this corrupt personality Gollum, all it took was one night and a few words, and boom, Gollum had to leave.
What did you say?
Don't get mad at me, man. It's true. Just a few words and you had to go running. You can get ticked off if you want, but you know that it's true.
Precious!
All right. Yeah, that's true. We also got to address the other thing. Gollum came back and things got worse. Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my analysis for Gollum. I think Gollum is probably one of the most fascinating characters in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I love the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy. My wife and I love it so much, we took a trip to New Zealand and we did those tours seeing all those shooting locations where they did Lord of the Rings. I actually have that vlog, that video up on my channel, and you could go check that out. That New Zealand trip was absolutely spectacular. But that's how much we love Lord of the Rings. One of the things I love about it is Peter Jackson did such a good and faithful adaptation of the books to the screen that I feel like these films are timeless. And one of the things that makes them timeless is they're so rich in symbolism that every time you go back, you can uncover something new. And one of the scenes that I always loved was when Smeagol and Gollum are arguing with each other. And it's interesting because Smeagol, after 500 and some odd years of complete oppression from the power of the One Ring, complete oppression from this personified corrupt being Gollum that like lives inside of his head, 500 and some odd years of oppression, and in just one night, in a few minutes, he tells it to leave, and Gollum leaves.
Leave now and never come back.
What's interesting is when you break it down and examine it, you have the ring and the power of the ring, the hate, the malice, the spirit of Sauron that is attached to that ring called out to Smeagol. And it brought him in, it hooked him, and the moment it hooked him, he had to have the ring at all costs, including killing his buddy. And he did whatever it took to get the ring, but once he had it, what does Gollum do? Calls him murderer. And so this ring tempts him, he yields to the temptation, briefly feels empowered, and then the ring itself brings about condemnation. The ring itself cuts his legs out from under him. But it's interesting because what this does is it creates a cycle. The moment his legs are cut out from under him, the moment it condemns him, he feels horrible, he feels vulnerable, he feels weak, he feels like he's got to have that power of the One Ring. He has to hold on to the precious, and as long as he holds on to the precious, he's got that power, and then the precious calls him murderer and beats him down. And then see how the cycle repeats? Sounds like addiction, right? It promises us something good, something that's going to feel good. So we yield, and it does feel so good. And then it trashes us, and then it makes us feel weak, and then it cuts our legs out from under us, and then we feel condemned and like trash. And because we feel condemned and like trash, we're in that vulnerable state, so we want to feel good again. So it calls out to us and we go back to the addiction, and then it condemns us, and it's this cycle that finds its way into us, and it grabs a hold, hooks on, and suddenly we're stuck in that cycle.
Where would you be without me?
Well, finally, Smeagol finds redemption. What's the difference? A new, stronger master. Gollum, as evil as Gollum was this strong master that ruled over Smeagol. Now that he met Frodo, he's met genuine kindness. He's met genuine goodness. Frodo is very protective of Smeagol.
I want to help him, Sam. Why? Because I have to believe he can come back.
So what does he do? He humbles himself before Frodo. He aligns himself with Frodo. And in so doing, he then tells Gollum to leave, and Gollum has to obey, and Gollum leaves. But the most tragic thing is, Smeagol finds himself in the hands of the soldiers. They're beating him. He feels vulnerable. He feels disillusioned. He feels alone. And Gollum seems to have been waiting in the shadows the entire time. And the moment Smeagol is down, and the moment he's vulnerable, here comes that snake. Slithering its way back in.
Why does it cry, Smeagol?
And Smeagol embraced it.
Master Tricksters! I told you he was tricksy.
And once he embraced Gollum, it got so much worse this time that Smeagol had tied his fate to the ring, so when the ring was cast into the fires of Mount Doom, Smeagol went with it. When the ring was destroyed by the fire, Smeagol was destroyed by the fire. It's truly a tragic end for Smeagol. So was it even a real victory that he had? I contend that it was. And we can't be surprised by the fact that Smeagol truly got free of the ring's power. But the ring was going to fight to have its prey back. We can't be surprised about that. Jesus talked about that in life because we go through disappointments in life. We feel like we get those great victories and we fall and we feel so angry and so disillusioned and so vulnerable. We turn back to the weaker addiction rather than the stronger life that can truly save us. Jesus talked about this. He says, when you cast a demon out of a person, it goes into the wilderness looking for a place to find rest. When it finds none, it goes back to the person it was cast out of. And when it finds like that person's inner life is all swept up, cleaned, and put back in order, it goes and gets 7 other spirits more wicked than it, and then they go inhabit that empty space, and that person's state is worse than it was before. See, what we can't be surprised is this. The world we live in, it's fallen. So Jesus said, in the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. When we come to Jesus, there's true freedom. He is the stronger master. He's better than Frodo because Frodo ain't perfect. Frodo will make mistakes. Jesus is perfect. He won't, and we won't be disappointed by him. But where we do get disappointed is sometimes we just get disillusioned because we think something's going to go one way and it doesn't happen how we imagined, and so we get disillusioned. Honestly, what it's like is marriage. Because when you get married, the way a marriage gets strong and has a firm foundation is when you build a relationship. If you take your spouse casually and just say, hey, what's up? And, don't really spend time with your spouse. You don't laugh together. You don't cry together. You don't argue together. You don't go out and have fun together. You don't do what is needed to build that relationship. Storms will come. And if that relationship isn't built, it ain't gonna last through the storm. Sometimes we get so excited when we let Jesus into our lives. We get so happy with the freedom that he's brought us, and we truly feel it, and we truly feel his peace. After a while, and the excitement begins to wear off, and the mundaneness of life begins to kick in, we get kind of casual about things. Casually, I posted on Instagram this cool little inspirational verse. Casually, I said, good morning, Jesus. And that was really all I said to him. And we don't really take that time to know what the Bible has to say and let it fill us. We don't take that time to really talk to Jesus and then listen for what he has to say back and really let that fill us. And so then when the storms come, suddenly we're all surprised that we've fallen again. For when a strong man is fully armed and guards his palace, his possessions are safe until someone even stronger attacks and overpowers him, strips him of his weapons, and carries off his belongings. Satan is that strong man. He tempted Adam and Eve with the shiny gold ring. They gave into its power, and then Satan took that foothold. Man, he built that stronghold. This earth has become his palace. We became his possessions. He was the strong man guarding it, but Jesus is the stronger man. He came, defeated Satan, bound him up, ransacked his kingdom, and set the captives free. We truly do have freedom in Jesus. The moment we find that freedom, though, we can't be surprised the devil wants to fight for us back. And he's going to wait patiently to that vulnerable moment where he could get his hooks into those places where they were before and pull us right back in. So when that happens, how do we fight that? We do need to invite godly people into our lives who have a strong foundation that can help build us up and keep us accountable. But most importantly, it's a decision of the heart. In James 4, it says, humble yourself before God. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. Draw near to God and he will draw near to you. See, that's relationship talk right there. When we build a strong relationship with God and we take that relationship serious, it builds us a strong foundation with him. When we know what his word has to say and we let that become a firm foundation for our lives, when the storm comes, we'll be able to stand. Because humbling yourself before God means aligning yourself with him. aligning yourself with his heart, aligning yourself with his will. And when we humble ourselves before him like that, we can resist the devil and he has to flee. And you know what's amazing about that strong relationship with him? I'm a Christian. I love Jesus. I'm human and I'm not perfect. Temptation has come my way and there's been those times that I have fallen. But I can get back up and still approach God boldly. Why? Because I have that firm relationship with him. I know he loves me and I could come before him and know that he forgives me and know that he's with me and take that experience and make it something to grow from. In my weakness, his strength is made perfect. It's amazing how when we build that strong relationship with him, the storms will still come. The devil will still fight for us and put those hooks in there and try to draw us back the way Gollum drew Smeagol back and was waiting in the shadows. But unlike Smeagol, who put his faith in Frodo, who was fallible, we could put our faith in Jesus, who is infallible, who is perfect. And when we build that relationship with him and truly let him into the deepest places of our lives, and we truly let him into that place that he has set back in order and let him inhabit that place, then we will stand strong even when the storms come. So what is your favorite Lord of the Rings moment? I cannot wait to talk about that with you in the comments. While you're there, hit the subscribe button to become a Durbanian, hit the bell by the subscribe button so the next time I do a theological analysis, movie review, ranking video, trailer reaction, or anything else I do drops, you'll be notified. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.